My name is Gabrielle. I am 29 years old. I'm from New York City, but moved down to Atlanta at 22. I was 26 years old when I was diagnosed with stage 2 papillary thyroid carcinoma. It was a shock to my system, as I think anyone who's ever heard the word cancer could believe. It was completely not expected, and it was wild because I was 26 years old, and I feel like most 26-year-olds are like out partying, having fun, not really worried, and feeling kind of almost fearless and like invincible. And I was very much in this fear state and just constantly worried about what was going to come next. When I first really noticed it was when I went to a routine gynecology appointment. It was actually just my yearly check-in with my gynecologist, and we did a whole physical, and she had said to me, you have a nodule on your thyroid. Have you ever gotten it checked out? Didn't even know my thyroid was there. I had no idea what was going on. And I said, no, I've never gotten it checked. I'd love to go get it checked and see what's going on. And from there, I had multiple biopsies. I had about 3 or 4 biopsies. And the first couple came back as fine, clear, no problem. But it kept getting bigger. My nodule kept getting bigger. And that just made me worry, obviously. So I ended up going to an endocrinologist who then talked to me about the idea of getting surgery done to remove the nodule. But everyone from the beginning was basically telling me, oh, it's super common for women to get nodules in their neck. Don't worry about it. It's probably nothing. Don't worry. And it ended up obviously being something bigger than nothing. So it was a big deal. I remember like it was yesterday when my doctor called me. It was 8:30 on a Monday morning. My mom was just leaving town that morning, like super early in the morning. She was on her way to the airport when I got the news that I ended up calling her right after and screaming like, come back, I want you to come back. I have cancer, you need to come back. And it was just a really scary moment. I knew absolutely nothing about thyroid cancer, like not an idea of it. And that's the thing that I think was so jolting for me, was that I was basically faced with something that was so unknown to me. And thyroid cancer is one of those cancers that just doesn't get talked about a lot. So for me to have it and not have any information on it just felt completely jarring and just scary because it was so unknown. And then the emotional fear was just, what's gonna happen to me after this? Like, do I need to have chemo? Do I need to have radiation? It was just all of these types of what ifs that were gonna happen. So I think that was the biggest fear of it, was just what happens next. After the first surgery, I was in pain, but kind of got through it. The second surgery was really painful just because of the wound wasn't healed. So the next part of it, after I went and saw my doctor, she had determined that my nodule was actually 6 centimeters large. So it was it was almost like the size of a little bigger than a golf ball. So because of that, because of the size of it, they had decided to take me and do a round of radioiodine treatment. Right after radioiodine treatment, I know I felt completely depleted. I had trouble sleeping, joint pain, stomach issues, just everything under the sun was basically the aftermath of treatment. It wasn't even the treatment. Like I said, the treatment was pretty bad, but after treatment was almost worse because I couldn't really get back to my quote unquote normal. Like, what was my normal before cancer? I basically had to realize that there was no normal before cancer and that I was gonna not get back to my old self. I had to just kind of find my new normal. It was a long couple of months for sure. Even now, I'm 3 years out of treatment, and I still have days where I'm dealing with my body just not cooperating because I don't have a thyroid. So yeah, I just think it's interesting how the life after is never spoken about. And it's just so crazy to me because every thyroid cancer patient that I've talked to and survivor that I've talked to and myself, it's the very tip of the iceberg, because the aftermath is just, it's brutal because you're finding a whole new life for yourself. I think for thyroid cancer, you do need to kind of be told that life without a thyroid is going to be different than life with a thyroid. And doctors want to look at it from a scientific perspective. And so the science behind it is easy and simple for them, but it's the emotional part of it that really doesn't get, spoken about or acknowledged. Thyroid cancer, getting the stigma of being the good cancer, is truly like the most heartbreaking thing I think any thyroid cancer patient can hear, because it's so not the good cancer. There's no such thing as a good cancer. Cancer is not good. There's no part of it that's easy, fun, enjoyable. There's nothing good about it. And I really feel like that diminishes how you feel about it when you're getting diagnosed. Like, I wasn't allowed to feel upset by it, because I should be grateful. I was totally valid in my feelings, and feeling like I was sad and nervous and, you know, fearful of everything. And for anyone to hear that it's a good cancer, it just invalidates how you feel. The journey afterwards without a thyroid is a whole other realm that I think doesn't get spoken about prior to, you know, having treatment or anything. It's just sad. I don't know. Thyroid cancer being the good cancer is just not a thing. It shouldn't be a thing. I didn't know to ask any questions when I first was going, especially when I first had the first couple of treatment appointments. It wasn't really until I started actually looking on thyka.org to really look at just resources that were out there. And there was a lot of articles, medical journals that were really giving me more information about connecting the dots a little bit for myself, of being like, okay, I feel this. What is that in regards to in my body right now? And kind of asking those questions that help me learn. I think the biggest piece of advice is just take a notebook with you when you go to the doctors and write down the acronyms and all the words that they use, and then go home and take your notebook and kind of do your own research yourself. I tell people all the time that an endocrinologist is like a therapist. You really need to find one that fits you, because it's not a one-size-fits-all approach at all. You really need to find one that works with you, listens to you, and hears you. I'm the messenger for all my doctors, and that's kind of fine with me, because that's my job in general. I'm in account management, so I am the liaison to all my clients, so it's not new to me to be the liaison for all my doctors. It's my health, and I will do anything I need to do to have my health 100%. I think being in my 20s getting cancer was just one of those moments where I just felt like my world was kind of going, and I was watching it in slow motion kind of go around me. And I had people's birthdays and parties and engagements and all these different life events that were happening for my friends. And then I was just kind of in this weird life stage of getting cancer. And I think for me, it really was more about, not really about missing out, but more so about like what I'm not able to gain. And I think that in your 20s, you really kind of have these wishes and dreams and hopes and all these plans that you want to make. And at 26, I really had to stop making plans and just ride out this part of my life. So for me to kind of pause that and say, okay, your career's on pause, you're taking short-term disability to kind of deal with your cancer treatment. And I have my friends who are getting promotions and raises and all these things that I wanted that now meant absolutely nothing to me. It just was the strangest dynamic, because I was so happy for my friends, but also really feeling stuck and feeling like I wasn't able to move forward. And that sucked. My advice to anyone who's dealing with it, especially younger generation, is definitely to keep busy as much as you can during the times of either your surgery and the radioiodine. What worked for me was walking pretty much every day. I would get out for at least 20 minutes and just get fresh air, and that really helped me just like release a lot of my own anxieties. I very much recommend just any type of therapy. Journaling and meditating was really helpful for me too, just to understand that like there was moments where I needed to just be at peace with it and just realize that like I'm in this, so I need to kind of feel it through. And then I think the other thing is just realizing that like you will get through it, and you know, regardless of what you go through, whatever type of treatment it is, it's a treatment time. It's not forever. It's gonna end. I really value feeling through things versus like avoiding the feelings. If I was having a bad day, I would just let myself have a bad day. So if you're feeling crappy, just feel crappy. If you're feeling great, lean into that. So what I learned to do was I just went on Instagram, or I started a blog, I started writing. and just would post it, and people would just connect with me that way, and they would talk to me like, oh, I actually had the same thing when I was your age, or I'm actually undergoing the same thing. And I think too, when you're sharing your own story, it gives other people a passageway to share their own and to feel like they're connected to you because they know what you're going through. That was a really important thing for me to get through. I wasn't alone. There were people who have dealt with this, they've gone through it, they've survived. You can do it too, type of a thing. And talking about it and having that support of someone else who has gone through it or is going through it is like no other, because you just feel less alone. You feel like you have someone who has your back, and there's no one who will get it more than someone who's had the same diagnosis as you. I get why people don't always feel comfortable sharing, but even just for their own advocacy and their own learnings and growth, even just sharing to hear and learn about what they could do better in their own journey, I think is so important. I view life so differently now, where I'm so grateful to just like have my health and just to be healthy, that everything else is a bonus at this point. Like if I could go on vacation, I'd say yes. And I really try to say yes to a lot more. And I think right now it's just really learning to listen to myself and not compare my life to anyone else's around me, because I've gone through such a different journey than half of my friends, or all of my friends. My health now is, it's been the focus of my life for the past 3 years, because it had to be. It was like getting cancer, getting rid of the cancer, life after cancer. And now I look at my health as a gift. I'm so grateful that I have health. But for me, it's really about just staying present and setting my own boundaries with my health. I'm really close with both my parents. I'm really lucky to have a good relationship with both of them. I'm just so grateful they let me do it my way, and they really let me take reins on it. They treated me like an adult, even though I'm their baby. They really were like taking my lead from it. It really helped me grow as a person to know that my parents were supporting me 100%. I had the net there if I fell, but they let me kind of take lead, and all they wanted to do was just get me through it. And so like that support was everything. It was very much like, this is your journey. However you want to handle it is totally okay. We're here for you, whatever you want. And that was really special. It was good. I could have really let this affect my life in a really dark, horrible way, because it's dark and horrible to have cancer in your life. But I think that they would be proud. I would hope that they'd be proud that I've come out of it stronger, and I just want to help people and kind of see me as more of an adult, I guess, now, and someone who has like her feet firmly on the ground, because I've kind of gone through everything that I've had to go through. So I would hope they were proud of me.